says already that we are.
Folks, welcome into a very special live episode of a Crossing Swords podcast, a live reaction to the signing of Taylor Hall. Kevin with a Y, Kevin Adams finally made a move. Duane, how are you feeling right now? I know you're absolutely pumped up.
How am I feeling? I've never been the biggest Taylor Hall fan. You know that. A lot of people know that. But you know what? This is a perfect situation. We're all worried about Jack Eichel not requesting a trade if we don't get better. Well, you know what? Now you're slotting in a bona fide goal scorer on his wing like Taylor Hall that adds so much depth to your top six. Not to mention, you know he's going to skate his balls off. He wants to get paid. And worst case scenario, if this fails, you're trading Taylor Hall at the deadline. You're getting a freaking king's ransom for him. This is awesome, guys. This is awesome. This is honestly a low risk, high reward for the Sabres. I've been extremely critical over the last 48 hours of this organization, and justifiably so. I don't care what anyone says, justifiably so. I have been. But if it all leads up to this, you know what? I'm not going to forgive everything, but Kevin, we good. We're good.
We're good, yeah, to see what's going to at least happen this year. There's a chance the Sabres could take a step forward. There's a chance that this is just a ploy, though, to win the draft lottery, if you know what I'm saying. Taylor Hall is the absolutely luckiest man in the NHL when it comes to the draft lottery. I think he's undefeated in those situations, which is absolutely freaky. But you look at what you can trot out there in your top six now. Eichel with Taylor Hall, and maybe you put Olofsson on his off wing. I think so. Eric Stahl, Sam Reinhart, Jeff Skinner. Sign me up for that. I'm all for that. I think that is a very improved top six, and a top six that could be very dangerous if you're able to get decent production, some solid play from your bottom six guys.
You couldn't have said it better, man. He plays the left wing. He's listed a left winger. So that's probably where he's going to slot in. It doesn't make sense to put Taylor Hall down on your second line. It only makes sense to have him on your first line. It wouldn't come here if he didn't already know.
He's not coming here to play with Eric Stahl.
Yeah, and no way. Absolutely no way. So, I don't know who you're slotting in on that right side, whether it's Reinhardt or whether it's Skinner, or whether it's Olofsson, whomever it may be. All I know is you have two very dangerous scoring lines now in Buffalo, Sabres fans. We have two very dangerous scoring lines. And, I mean, does this mean Cahoon is definitely not coming here? Not necessarily. You still have a little bit of wiggle room to work with. It would have been better if you didn't overpay Zemgus Girgensons. But it is what it is.
The $800,000 isn't going to be the make or break whether you can get everyone here in on this roster realistically.
It's just one. I mean,
it's just an extra hurdle.
It's just an extra. Yeah, it's just an extra hurdle. So I am excited, man. When Elliot Freeman first, I'm hearing rumors. It took me right back to that night where we all got those rumors about Antonio Brown. Is he coming here? He is coming here. He's not coming here.
Everyone's just going nuts.
People are posting pictures of him in a Bills uniform already. It was insane. So with that being said, wow.
Yeah, Taylor Hall did play for Ralph Kruger before when he was in Edmonton, was very complimentary of him, said, if I could take anything, and this may sound weird, but if I were to coach someday, I'd want to have an attitude like he did. As you go through the league and you have different coaches, different assistant coaches, you think, if I was ever a coach or to be in that position, what would you want to do and how would you want to send your message? He was a guy that not every meeting was roses, but at the end of the day, you were there to play hockey and you were there to be a great teammate. I think that's what I'd take from him. That's great praise from Taylor Hall. You think about that, growing up throughout sports, how would I do these things if I were coaching? I wouldn't run this drill that way, or I wouldn't talk to my players that way. That's like the highest level of admiration Taylor Hall can really give for Ralph Kruger. And that's only having him for a season. We've only heard good things about it. And that's a shortened season too, taking a team that was absolutely terrible and having them play decent hockey.
Make them competitive.
Yeah. And
he made them competitive.
And that's exactly sort of the turnaround he's had to make here in Buffalo. And at times they were very, very competitive, but it was the consistency. It wasn't there. We weren't getting enough help for Jack. I think that was more the issue. We saw a lot of, Jack had to take over games, but now you have someone else who can do that as well and can create some on his own. He's going to bury. He's just think about how many feeds he's going to get from Eichel. Like if you put Eichel and Olofsson on the wing, if Olofsson's on his off wing, that's where he loves playing on the power play anyway. So he's pretty comfortable there to begin with. So I think you can do that, slot him there. And I'm liking that first line like that.
And let's not forget, Jack really came into his own this past season as far as being a goal scoring centerman. Because how often do we complain about him?
He's a playmaker. Yeah, doesn't
he's a playmaker. You know what? He shot a lot more this past season, and you know what? Now you're just adding that extra dangerous piece to your first line. This is going to be nuts. You know, like I said, I don't want to be. You know, you don't get too high, you don't get too low. We have a really good reason to be high, get high tonight, Sabres fans, because this is big. Ty, I know you're going to.
I'll defer on that one. So if you're Kevin Adams now, what do you think is the next thing? I think it's obviously got to be, for me, getting these guys who have the RFA deals sealed up, just so you know if you have any other money to play around with. Obviously, Victor Olofsson and Sam Reinhart, the two biggest names, plus Linus Ullmark still. I think those are very important for you going forward.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. It's you know, you would hope that before he even made this deal, he had at least had some type of structure already in place. Not in place, but you know, is building towards that with both Victor and Sam. A framework, yeah. If not, then we're in trouble. But yeah, man, like I said, this is those have to be your next two priorities right there. With Dahlin coming in third, in my opinion, getting a framework built for him, because you're going to have to pay him big money next season. I mean, I'd rather lock him up sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I get what you're saying in that one. But is this potentially a spot here now where we see Rasmus Ristolainen get moved? Because you got to get some money out of here.
You stole the words right out of my mouth, man. You stole them right out of my mouth. Because we have brought in some lower, inexpensive defensemen on a one-way deals, and it's hard for me to think that you're going to bring these guys. If that were the case,
you're going to give them all a chance over Borgen or Bryson, like that. That kind of
that upsets me. That upsets me too. Is like if that is the case, Borgen's earned his chance up here on the big club. You should give him his shot. See with the Bryson, it's you know, I don't want to say Rasmus Ristolainen's days in Buffalo are numbered, but I think that could be where it's trending, because, you know, something's got to give here, you know, or, you know, they say screw it and they just go all in on this season. Hope that Rasmus, I mean, because I guess we could be real here. I mean, Rasmus Ristolainen did have one of his better seasons over the course of his career this past season. He did
finally
improve.
Being used in a lesser role, which
yes, exactly.
I think is the key to that, not being just forced to, you know, protect your net, which is a terrible strategy. I don't know if you've ever played FIFA. If you like play park the bus, like that's literally what it is, protect the net. Like you're doing absolutely nothing but folding back and like just hoping for the last and blocking shots or something.
I've never seen a defenseman watch a puck come to the net, either from the point or from the outside, more than Ristolainen does. Number one rule of playing, play in front of everyone as a defenseman: tie the man up. Don't stare at the puck, because if you're staring at the puck, you're not tying your man up. So, I mean, that's one of my biggest gripes with him, outside of the low hockey IQ. Never keeping it simple, is just he never, ever, ever ties his man up in front of the net. He just watches the play come to him, and, you know, is like a deer in headlights when the puck gets to the net. Like I said, man, this changes a lot, Ty.
Yeah. Think about what the power play situation is going to be like.
Oh, God. Our power play was abysmal.
Yeah, it was abysmal. And, you know, before that, it was one of the top in the league, and it took such a huge regression. I think you're going to go right back to where you were before that. You started very hot last season with Olofsson out there, and you weren't able to sustain that success. Teams were able to adjust on him. But if you have Taylor Hall out there opposite of Olofsson, that gives Eichel so many different people to pick from, to give the puck, who can make something happen, who can score the puck, who can shoot it at an above average clip. I love this move, especially on the 1-year deal, because it's a win-win for both situations. You look at what happened to Taylor Hall the past 2 seasons, a bit of a regression from that MVP season. And some of that can be said for who he's been put, on the ice with, the guys he's been around on his team. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to take a hit when you're playing on a team as bad as the Devils was. That's just going to happen. So you come into a situation where you're going to play with one of the best centers in all of hockey right now, arguably top 5, the way Jack played last year.
Top three.
You can easily make that argument as well,
3.
Duane. I'm not going to argue with you on that.
I know.
So on a 1-year deal, worst case scenario, like, shit hits the fan and you're not that good, you shouldn't have been paid that much, but you just got an $8 million a year. So like, be happy, figure your situation out going forward. Best case scenario, he balls the fuck out, and you can, if you're doing poor, you trade him. If you're doing well,
and you get a king's ransom at the deadline,
and he can, get a huge deal or something. So there's a ton of situations that can play out in this, and almost all of them are positive for the Sabres.
And I've been sitting here thinking too, has been talking, like, I wonder if Jack, and I mentioned that yesterday on Twitter, I would hope Jack Eichel is reaching out to these guys, trying to convince them to come here. And I would like to think that there was some type of contact between Jack and Taylor before that. But in all reality of it, even if there wasn't, does he really even have to? Because Taylor Hall, I can't imagine he's a dumb guy. He wants to get paid. He realized he sees, he sees how everything's panning out around him. He knows he's got to be the first chip to fall here in free agency as far as the star forwards go. Everybody's waiting on him.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, he knows that wherever he goes, it's probably not going to be long term. A lot of teams are up against the cap. The cap isn't going up. Some teams, have internal salary caps, as we all thought we did, I guess. And again, with that being said, where am I going to succeed the most to get to that next contract, and who is going to help me get there? I looked down the list. The next best center, honestly, was David Krejci in Boston. I mean,
yeah.
No, Jack Eichel. I mean, it doesn't take. You don't have to be that smart to realize where you're going to score your most points. It was going to be in Buffalo. And again, like you said, and if it doesn't work out here, kind of like it hasn't worked out with him in other places, guess what? Pack your shit at the deadline, Taylor. You're going somewhere.
Yep, absolutely.
As Mike Commodore would say.
Absolutely. For you, Duane, is there any other guys you want to target maybe via trade? Because it doesn't look like they're going to have much money really to do anything, free agent wise, unless they move someone out of here. One guy maybe over the next week, like a pipe dream to get that's realistic to bring in.
Realistic? I mean, you look at the trade bait, the NHL.com and all those trade bait boards, and, realistic. I mean, before Taylor Hall, I would be shooting for the moon and wishing for Patrick Laine. Obviously, you don't need that now because you got Taylor Hall. I would like to see bring in another defenseman, someone to help stabilize their blue line, take some pressure off Dahlin. It's I mean, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, he's out of the question. He's pretty much gave a deadline. He's saying he's staying in Arizona. I think that's, a given. It's man, I don't know. I know what pieces do we have? Matt Dumba? I mean, if you think about like Matt Dumba, I don't know. There's also, there's also a lot of talk, a lot of rumors about Keith Yandel out of Florida. Other than that, man, I don't know. I'm really more or less focused on a defenseman, or maybe bring in another guy at center to be in your third line, so you can keep Cody Eakin down in your fourth line. I'd like to see. I don't know the semantics of our salary cap situation right now, or how much money we do have to spend, but I do know that Eric Hall still is out there, and seeing how cheap guys like, I know he's not a center, but see how cheap guys like Jesper Fast are coming.
Mm-hmm.
Or again, like Cody Eakin, how cheap he was. Could we afford to bring in a guy like Eric Hall to play on your third line center? I don't know. But like I said, I mean, you got to address backup goalie. I think that's probably, as far as free agency goes, that's your next priority, unless you really plan on going with Hutton. But I would like to see a defenseman. I know Jake Gardner's name was thrown out there a lot. Chris Russell out of Edmonton. I know Nate Schmidt might be on his way out, or he was already traded, right? Schmidt was already traded to Florida.
Yep.
I believe, yeah. So he's already gone. Maybe Johnny Boychuk out of the island. Sorry, Cats. His name's been thrown all out there too. Like I said, I would really, really like to see a defenseman come back to Buffalo. Somebody really stabilize that blue line and and like I said, just take some pressure off of of Russ Dahlin. Maybe even Alec Martinez. I know another name in out of Vegas that was thrown out a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we sign off here, Duane, your last thoughts right now. Kevin with a Y making moves. Taylor Hall to the Buffalo Sabres, 1 year, $8 million.
Again, as I said before, such a low risk, high reward. You're not hurting your team this year. You're helping your team this year. And if it all fails, it all blows up in your face. You shit the bed. You're trading him for a ransom at the deadline, and you're just making your team better for the following year. Maybe whatever you trade him for, you're either trading him for picks and prospects or a player with term, whatever it may be. This is just a good deal for the Sabres. Great job by Kevin with a Y, Kevyn. Dumbest way to spell Kevin I've ever seen in my life, but whatever.
Oh, Schultz trade is still in place, but not to Florida, apparently, just recently reported like 15 minutes ago. So that about wraps it up for us here. Make sure you call Pazda Electric for any of your electrical needs, 716-698-2711. Go follow at Crosswords Pod for more updates.
Two
goalies, one Mike for all Duane stuff as well. We're going to be firing with it. Hopefully tons and tons of more positive Sabre stuff. It's been a while. Let's